back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. In the next part of my one-on-one segment tonight, the town of New Milford, Connecticut is losing its battle with a family that holds prayer meetings at their home, causing traffic and other zoning problems. A little-known federal law called the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act protects religious groups from zoning restrictions, much to the dismay of some neighborhoods across the country. Should religious groups be allowed to assemble wherever they want when other groups cannot? Joining me now in Philadelphia, Marc Jonas, an attorney who represented a neighborhood in a similar dispute. Marc, good to have you with us.
Good evening, Alan.
In your dispute, it involved a synagogue that couldn't use a building that was once used as a Catholic convent. The U.S. District Judge in your case noted in his ruling that the ordinance permitted similar non-religious use. So isn't that a double standard? You can't pray in a building, but you can use a building for other public use.
The federal judge essentially made a ruling that disregarded any evidentiary basis by deciding on the face of the ordinance itself that certain uses have different impacts or certain uses have the same impacts. What that kind of ruling does is potentially constitutes a major invasion of a quiet residential neighborhood and wreaks havoc with the whole concept of land use planning and zoning.
They could have had an administration building, a police barrack, a library, a snack bar, a bus shelter, but not a synagogue. I want to talk about the Murphys in New Milford, Connecticut, who were told they could have prayer meetings in their home if they limit it to 24 people plus their family. They were having 40 people over there. This is freedom of assembly. I mean, I know people, friends of mine, who have prayer meetings at their homes on a regular basis. To have the police come in and say you can't use your home for the purpose of assembling people you care to pray with in America?
This is not freedom of assembly. It's basically creating or converting a house into an institutional use. And then the question is, how does this little baby elephant grow? Little elephants are fed, they need more space, and then how many events are held outside?
Well, you're projecting, though, Marc. I mean, we're talking about a family that simply wants to have some friends over on a regular basis to pray. They're not opening a chapel or synagogue or a church. They're simply saying, we have some friends over on a regular basis, we pray, and you're suggesting that that's going to become something bigger than it is, and
it already has, Alan. The court decision noted that they have fundraising, they deal with clothing donations. That sounds to me like an institution, and you have to consider how would the Murphys feel if there were no zoning protections and all of a sudden the neighbors wanted to put in a gasoline station? Would they believe that?
You're
would
saying
they believe
you're playing
you have
the
right?
what-if game, Marc. We're talking about a simple prayer meeting. If they had a party in their home and had 40 or 60 people, nobody would say anything. I suggest to you that the way to deal with this is to change parking regulations. Say you can't park on the street or only a certain number of cars. Make it a parking issue. But to say people can't attend a prayer meeting in somebody's home, that's un-American.
Alan, the American is zoning. American is the right to have the quiet enjoyment of your neighborhood, to be able to live together, to have separate uses zoned separately, to have similar uses together.
So what you're saying, Marc, is if I have people over to my house to have a party, or if I have them over to play bridge, that's okay. But the minute we have a prayer meeting, you know, there is a law, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act I mentioned earlier, that protects people, to give them the ability to do just this, which why the Murphys have won their case so far.
And that's legislation run amok. That's legislation that doesn't provide a clear, level playing field. That puts religious institutions on a level above every other land use, because some of these religious institutions, Alan, take on the attributes of a business, take on the attributes of an industry. The situation.
We're just talking about a bunch of people praying in somebody's house.
There are no limits when you open the door to the institutionalization of residential neighborhoods, and the Congregation Colmes case in Abington is a case in point.
Well, so far the courts have been on my side on this, but
it won't be for long,
the fight
Alan,
will
I
continue.
promise you that.
All right, Mr. Jonas, welcome aboard, Alan. 5 years of hard work, and I agree with you.
I'm glad. No, I'm bringing you around.
I brought you around to my side.
I'm bringing you around to respecting
defending the churches. Welcome
Sean,
aboard.
I'm bringing you around to defending the First
Baptize you in the
Amendment.
name of the right-wing conspiracy.
The First Amendment. You're finally supporting freedom of speech and assembly. I'm glad to hear it.
We conservatives always have. That's our show for tonight. Remember, for all news all day, watch the Fox News channel. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, for a lively debate. Look at this. Alan's on our side.
No, you're on my side.